What is up, guys? Boat Game Johnny Utah. Today we have Meet the Arkansas, or the Arkansas, if you don't know how to say Arkansas. Now, this Tier 3 battleship is a nasty, nasty piece of work. Now, this particular ship has two midship guns, which I'm going to go ahead and say right off the jump. Very, very difficult to get on target. You have to turn nearly completely broadside to get all 6 guns on target. So something to think about. However, you can get 4, maybe even 5 on target and still have a pretty decent chance to get angled back up if you're in a combat type situation. So it's not exactly a bad thing, but the amount of firepower this thing can bring to bear is just unearthly. You can, if you catch a cruiser broadside, and you can, manage to connect with them, you will delete them. That is without a doubt. One shot, what have you. I mean, it will absolutely decorate people, which is, of course, the battleship's job. You can angle up if you're taking your oncoming fire there, or you can quarter away if you're, aft to them, and you can still end up making quite a good, a good little bit of damage deflection there just from the armor alone. Now, as far as the shell art goes, it's not exactly, it's not like the Atlanta where it's going to rain down. It's got a very, very flat shell arc. So that's going to kind of affect you if you're shooting around a lot of debris here. Not necessarily debris, but, islands and just junk in the way in general. And that's kind of what we have going on here. We're putting rounds down range, but we don't just have that mighty, mighty shell arc that some of the ships do. Not very many, but the good thing is with a flat-ish arc like we have, our shell times aren't ridiculous, which means the round gets there in a timely fashion, which is a good thing. Now we're kind of keeping our head on a swivel, and we're not really certain, what we can shoot over and what we can't. So as you can see here, I'm kind of probing, trying to get some rounds over top of an element here. And I know that, I'm fully aware that there's a symbol there to the side that says, when you have an obstructed shot, but it's always going to tell you have an obstructed shot. You just don't really know till you try. And essentially, we're just kind of probing, trying to find out what's what. We have this gentleman pulling up here. Spoiler alert, he is going to have a bad time. It is not a good look for him. We're going to go ahead and hit him with a broadside and remove him from the map. If you were in a cruiser, a Tier 4 cruiser, Omaha, what have you, you have to be very, very cautious because you can get citadeled and erased immediately. So just keep that in mind. You don't ever want to show your side to a battleship, especially if he's looking at you. If he's not looking at you, it doesn't really matter. But if he is, he will most certainly erase you. Moving on here, we're going to continue scanning the horizon, looking for targets. We know for a fact we can't shoot around that, so we're not necessarily too worried about it. We've got a guy here to about our 2 o'clock. Just got decorated. The red team is kind of collapsing in quick order. I mean, which is a good thing for us because obviously, we definitely want to pull a win out of this. But as far as stacking damage, it's not really a good thing. Although we do have full health from that Omaha. So there is that. We're going to go ahead and maneuver right now. We're not necessarily fans of, getting torped, and that's why you'll see me just make random maneuvers, because some of these cruisers have incredible torpedoes. For the Furry Taco, for example, has just ridiculous torpedoes. So, we kind of have to keep our head on a swivel. We don't want to just randomly get torped. So that's why, you may see me in a battleship change speed and just maneuver for just no reason. And I would recommend you do the same, because that way it kind of gets very difficult to get a bead on you, especially if they see you maneuvering. We're going to see if we can remove this gentleman from the map. Bam. Back to the water garage for you. If you give up the side it's pretty much a guarantee. If you can be, if you get a solid connection, you're going to wreck them. Now if they're angled up, granted it's difficult to tell a full broadside from slight angle, but for the most part you're going to do some pretty solid damage. It may not kill them, but it is definitely going to cripple them, and they are not going to have a good time. It seems like the destroyers you always have a hard time connecting with, just simply because they're small, they've got a small profile, they're narrow, it seems like the rounds just kind of dance around them. And you just don't, get that much damage. I think destroyers honestly have a different dispersion factor factored into them versus, your battleships and your cruisers. I don't know. It may be a hidden mechanic. I'm not sure, but I just know from personal experience, whenever you're firing at a destroyer, something that should obviously kill them is sometimes it does not. And I think that's maybe to make up for the fact that they do not have a lot of HP nor armor. So I don't know. Either way. So we're pushing through this area, and guys, you want to be very cautious when you're going through here, specifically because you don't have any room to maneuver. And this works for any tightly confined area as far as your islands go. You have to be very, very cautious. And the reason being, you can't really get your hull right if you need to get your guns on target, or you can't really get out of the way of torps, or if there are other ships in here. So something to think about. You don't want to go into a place, you don't want to sail into a place that compromises your effectiveness. So you have to be very cautious. You have to keep your head on a swivel. Now granted, in this case we've only got 3 enemies left on the map, so we're fairly certain we're going to be okay. We're going to put some rounds on this gentleman right here. We're trying to ascertain where exactly he is heading so we can have the rounds meet him there. We got some pretty rough dispersion there, but when somebody's bow tanking you like that, or aft tanking you, you're not going to get a lot of rounds on target. And when they are, you kind of want to aim for the gun area, so the rounds will kind of go in and hit that superstructure. But you're not really going to get that, because the dispersion is going to kill you. Not them, it's going to kill you. So something to keep in mind. It looks like this gentleman's going backwards. I'm not really certain what is the fascination with going backwards in battleships. I'm sure I don't know, but either way, we're gonna get the guns ready. We're gonna lay in a target here, and we're gonna put some heat on them. It looks like we have our choices. We're kind of looking at this gentleman right here. However, he is kind of bow tanking us. And once again, with the cruisers, it's not necessarily a big deal as far as armor. It's about hitting the target. And as you can see there, we did hit him, but we just didn't do a whole lot of damage. And that's, it boils down to dispersion. And realistically speaking, you're not going to do a ton of damage from that location anyway, just simply because, the profile's a lot smaller. And it can't all be broadside shots. That's what you've got to understand. Now granted, of course, he is giving up the broadside, which is a fatal move, especially when you're dealing with a warship such as the Arkansas. So we're going to go ahead and turn away here. We've got torps in the water, as you can see. If we continued our current path, it would have been a really good shot there for us. We're going to go ahead and try to get the guns on target. That gentleman just got removed from the map, so we don't really have to worry about him anymore. We do have some perfect broadside shots. We're going to try to go ahead and get some rounds down range. He is firing at us, so we're just going to use the super firing aft guns, because we don't necessarily want to risk turning the ship at that particular juncture. He is the last gentleman on the map, so we're going to go ahead and see if we can't bring her about a boot and put some rounds back on that target. We're putting a little bit of fire on there, not a whole lot. We're trying to sneak some rounds over that hill there. It's a low enough hill, I figure we could probably get some shots over there. And we're, the return fire, I would say, is for the most part ineffectual. it is nickel and diming us, but it is not going to be the death of us. We still have some health kits left, so we do have the ability to bring back some HP. This fella is not long for this world. He's trying to take some cover, which is a smart move, but I think in the end, it's going to prove ill-advised. Possibly quartering away would have been his best move, just to kind of angle up. Either way, this game is in the bag. We've managed to win it. Good thing, especially with these premium ships, because you get so much more credits than you normally would. Not necessarily as much as, say, the Atlanta, but you do get some. 52,000 damage, 129,000 credits. I had a very good game. Ended up putting the smackdown on a couple of guys. Had a lot of fun. Guys, I really hope you enjoy this. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, hit that notification button, and stop by the stream Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you guys in the next video.